This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so we'll call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In order to be generally stated to be important business for the people of the village of Owego and strictly capacity and understanding. All right. The first item, as always, is public comment.
Julie Nucci. So I just wanted to find out what the status was with hazard mitigation grant 4480. The one thing, what between the last meeting and this meeting, it did come through that 90% will be reimbursed by the federal government, and the homeowner only has to reimburse 10%. So that is through, and I was wondering what the status was of the village effort to submit applications, and if the village is going to announce this to people, support applications. The one point I do want to make, and I understand that the village says they don't want to support a homeowner's application, but I just ask you all to think that if somebody elevates their house and it stays on the tax rolls because it's been elevated and doesn't get abandoned, that you have a huge tax gain of keeping that property on the tax roll. So it's absolutely in the long-term best interest of the village for people to mitigate these houses. And I don't think that small support to keep our tax rolls strong is unreasonable. But at minimum, the village needs to submit them.
Yes, I know we had emailed Hunt and the rest of the board on these applications that were going to cost, but whether the estimate was between $1,500 and $2,000 to complete and submit. From the email chain with the board, we would be willing to allow homeowners to work with Hunt and submit through the village, but not necessarily cover the cost of the application.
But you are willing, so I still think it's something to think about in terms of long-term health. And I know that like nonprofits take things off the tax rolls, this keeps things on the tax rolls. But the village is committing to submit the applications.
Yeah.
Okay. Go.
So my name's Kim Trahan. I'm at 275 Front Street. I took about $90,000 worth of damage in 2011. And at the time, when Julie's husband left, I didn't have the funds or the emotional fortitude to do it, but I do now. And so I very much want to take advantage of the 90-10 match. I have spoken to Timmy Kunzman. I'm already working on my elevation certificate. I've already spoken to Ron, the elevation company, the contractor. I spoke to Timmy Kunzman from Hunt. They'll hold up. I'm willing to pay Tammy and Hunt to do the application for me. She's willing to do that, but she can't until the village submits in writing a letter stating that the village will support this. She won't even take my application. She won't even take my information until they get something from you. Is there a way you can get that done?
Oh, sure. Okay.
I spoke to Laura Spencer. She said she was going to pen something. Laura,
Laura, do you maybe want to make a motion and do it, and then I'll submit the letter?
Yeah, I submitted some writing. Did you all see it? It's a rusty, and I can pull it up. Was that okay with you guys? That's a best
Pull it up, it could scratch it a little.
Can you hear me?
Not very well.
Barely hear you, kind
Yeah,
of like scratching.
Very poorly.
Um,
You try meeting us, maybe?
So, hold on just a second.
So what you emailed was a motion for an agreement with Hunt to provide grant writing services for the DD, or DR 4480 hazard mitigation grant program application. Is that a motion you want to make?
You cut out, but yes, I would like to make a motion for the village to partner with Hunt Engineers, Architects, and Surveyors of Forsyth, New York, for the grant writing services for DR 4480, part of the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program administered through New York State Department of Security and Emergency Services. Oh, Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. And the homeowner would agree to pay their portion of the grant writing fee. And Hunt will also be providing services for the village for the generators.
Too much information.
Yeah, leave the generator part of. But that as information.
I was second that without the generator portion.
Any discussion on that?
Who responds right to it?
Yeah.
Well,
I'll get a hold of Hunt.
I
tell
just
them
didn't
it's all
want to leave it up in the air while the water was starting to.
You will sign it. I talked to him every day anyway.
Do you believe that that will pass the snuff that you've asked me if that's the?
You asked me, it's probably Julie.
So does that mean you're paying Hunt to prepare the forms the village needs to submit?
No,
What
no,
is
no.
the partnership with Hunt? I just don't understand.
It's the Lord's motion is it's at the homeowner's expense, but we will allow residents to apply to talk to us. When you write that letter, make your application.
We already have a relationship with Hunt for this, so it just makes sense.
Totally, but I'm just, so there's nothing in that letter that says the village is committing to do the paperwork that it needs to get the application submitted. Can you get help from Hunt if you need it to get that paperwork done to get the application submitted? I don't know how much it is, but there is some effort that the village has to expend to get these applications submitted. If you need to, should you contract with Hunt, given the strength of your relationship with them, to help you with that paperwork?
Yeah, that's the $2,000.
No. That's the homeowner. So the homeowner makes a package, but then the village has to fill out some paperwork to submit that
Oh,
package.
yeah.
Okay, as long as you guys are gonna get that done.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
Tammy at Hunt, was very clear that it has to be done last week.
Yeah, no, that's what.
Yeah. So if the faster we move on, that would be great.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
send a letter tomorrow.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, let's vote on this if there's no other discussion. Charles? Yes. Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And yes. There's some public comments. You guys.
I have another one, which is, I had a conversation with the SHPO today with State Historic Preservation Office, and I didn't realize this, but if somebody owns a commercial building, there's the 20% state historic tax credit. I didn't know this, maybe you did. There's a 30% federal historic tax credit. So if you buy a commercial building and renovate it per the SHPO and federal, you get 50% of the renovation costs paid between the combination of state and federal. And if you take, if you were to say elevate and have FEMA money, New York State does not see that as double dipping. So you could get state historic tax credit for renovations that you do under a FEMA grant. I doubt that works for federal because FEMA is federal. But there's a lot of incentive out there if people take advantage of it to keep our historic structures in sound form.
That's cool. Info. Anything else?
Yeah, we do.
I didn't know. This is why I'm into it.
While there's a pause, on that last subject for the grant money, that covers inside and out of the building. So everything in your building from the furnace controls, your kitchen, bathroom, everything you do in a renovation and the paint outside all qualifies under those for the grant money. So it's very, very cool. That homeowners in the historic district, we're only getting it because, or available to get it because of the historic district, because we're in the CLG and we have that here. So it's a great thing that we could take advantage of.
All right, so public comment. Who else do we have?
I'm Sandy Lehman, owner of the Cellar Restaurant out on 96 Front Street, and would like to, bring to the table parking. I know everybody's gonna go, oh dear Lord, parking. Not the same parking like everybody said. I know we've had funds and we've done, studies, plenty of parking lots. Laura said that there was DRA money to brighten them, pave them, make them wonderful, signage to get people there. That is my request, is to get people there. We have people, it has gotten progressively worse since the apartments have been put on Front Street right next door. The challenges have been astronomical since it went in from the dumpster and the trunks and all of that, and that's gone. Now we have 8 to 10 tenants. This morning there was 17 at 7:30 in the morning parked. Front Street specifically, and I believe there is similar comments on Lake, has become a tenant parking lot, period. We had a Volvo in front of the cellar, and I'm not just representing the cellar here, I'm representing all of that, all of us. 10 days, never moved. Now we have a white type Toyota that's on the 6th day. These people must be working from home. My question is why? One, would they not show the respect and just park in a municipal when you know you're not going to move your car for 10 days? But since they are not, we need to help them and make it very uncomfortable for them. Now, my question is, why is 2 to 5 o'clock no parking on the signs, a law, not enforced? Now, I know that the police go off at 3. That leaves an hour. To walk Front Street, I cannot imagine it taking more than an hour. If we move those cars from 2 to 5, it will keep traffic moving. We won't have 17 and 20 spaces out of 30, 35 that are monopolized day, night, weeks. A $10 ticket isn't going to do it. It's worth them parking for 10 days. That's $1 a day. Do we not, and I don't know the law, and I would like somebody to tell me, because that's why I'm here. One, you're parking in a no parking zone. I don't know that that is just a $10 ticket, but doesn't it go up sequentially? And if it's put on every night, every single night, that Volvo would have had, even at $10, would have had, $100. You generate hundreds of dollars in tickets to pay the person to walk the beat and put it on there. You can't just do it once because they say, oh, thank you very much. I parked for 10 days. Here's your $10. It's got to be every single night. And my question is, why not? That's all.
A little bit of that. The cars that you sent me, I checked with OPD, and they each had 5 tickets or more in the last couple of months. So
Can they not be compounded on their windshield every single night until there is $200, $300 worth of ticket on their car? And the other thing that you and I have, discussed a little bit, towing after a certain amount. Now, it's not anywhere evidently that they can be towed. Can it be made? I think that if you just penalize them with tickets and make them go higher and higher and higher, again, can you tell me after one ticket, if it's 10, the next ticket is still only 10?
I have to grab the ticket book out of the car, my partner's on the call, but I do believe you're correct, it's 10 for each time. And the increase comes with a lack of payment over a period of time, so I think if you pay it within the first 3 days, it's 10 or 5 days. And after that, it bumps up to like 20, it does go up over time. To talk about why they're not ticketed every night, our department was cut back severely years ago. We had no overnight shift for a long period of time. We reassigned some officers based on the caseload of the call volumes that we're seeing coming in. So from Sunday to Tuesday night, the officers leave at midnight. So there is nobody on from midnight to 8 a.m. On Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the officers come in work at 5 to 3 a.m. And that's dependent on their call volume. A lot of the calls that they're seeing is people walking the business district. They have been enforcing parking. I know that you looked at the ticket volume not too long ago. It all depends if they're available to go out and make the ticket or if they're on calls. Our call volume has increased since COVID has gone up significantly. So it all depends on what's going on that night in the village.
That's specifically, that's what Sheriff's telling me, that specifically asked them to come into the village and write parking tickets, and they're doing that.
No, I kind of looked up responsibility, and sheriffs are a little above ticket.
And I know they're understanding too, and they got the county.
So you are basically, I'm hearing there is no hope. They're parking right in front of a sign that says no parking from 2 to 5 for 10 days. And we as a village cannot stop that.
Well, when there's officers available to write those tickets, they're writing the tickets. From the 2 to 5 no parking zone overnight. We don't necessarily have a parking enforcement officer like we had years ago that marked tires, and there's actually been a case law that was.
You can't do that anymore.
You
I know.
can't mark the tires anymore.
Mhm.
So
Trespassing.
we've talked about when numbering parking spots. We've looked at different avenues of being able to provide the evidentiary portion of the parking ticket to make sure that it's enforceable and can be prosecutable. If people occasionally do want to go to trial on a parking ticket. So that process is being looked at when we come into repaving and numbering of the repainting of the lines and stuff on our streets.
What about the towing? Can that be incorporated before? Any kind of way? There's nothing like walking outside and the car is not there when you want it. To deter somebody from parking there.
Yeah, I have looked at that. There is avenues to tow those vehicles. It's something I'd have to talk to the chief about and get the rating on that.
I mean, I would think after a certain number of tickets, that it could be towed.
It can be towed, and it can be, there's also options of booting cars too. You can buy boots and put boots on them. There's different enforcement actions that you can take. So there's different things we can definitely take a look at to see if we want to move forward. But it's a lot to tow the cars. People get pretty upset. I mean, physically violent
It
over
doesn't
the
park there.
I agree with you.
A couple of times doing that.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, but I mean, people go crazy over $10 parking ticket. You have people come out screaming at us over $10 parking ticket. Nose to nose with us.
Some people don't care, they just say, oh, that's cheap parking.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
I don't know anywhere where you get a $10 parking ticket. In Ithaca, I think it's $25 parking ticket.
I don't know anywhere
So
where you
why
can
don't
park
we
on the
just
street for
make, can
10
we make the
days.
parking tickets more expensive?
Yeah, he was charging $40 a ticket.
Yeah, so is that just a solution that doesn't impact manpower if you just raise the fine Like, what process has to happen to raise the fine on the parking ticket?
That's to change the village law.
That could be part of the solution, and it's a amendment to the village parking law.
Most people would like to see parking, who's got that?
Or
Well,
Well, why don't
kiosks.
you just do a kiosk, just like everybody else is doing?
That's a bad
I
idea.
think time to raise the parking.
We looked at kiosks at DRI. Remember we looked at the cost of kiosks, they were like, what? I'm just talking off the top of my head, $10,000 per kiosk? Something like that. It was a ridiculous amount of money for
Put the
it.
money in. Well, another thing is when you're paroling and you're telling me, okay, I just felt the 2 to 5, boom, the sign is there, it's the law, enforce it, done. I don't even know why there's a question. I don't know why,
There's not a question.
except you're telling me, yes. So what about this Volvo that is in front and presently the Toyota that's in front for 5 days?
And the Volvo's back, moved for
You,
one day.
yeah, it's over there now. But you, as police going by, can see it, remember it, and ticket in the morning for,
I've been on since 4 o'clock this afternoon. I've probably driven by 3,000 cars today. I can't remember which one is always there. If you just call into OPD and talk to our clerk, she'll bring it to our attention, and the daytime patrol guys can go out and take a look at it and make a note of it. But I can't tell you what car was in what parking spot yesterday for 3 days in a row.
well,
It's
what
very
about
difficult to do.
like straight away, when did the police come on in the morning?
8 a.m.
So they could have parked there after 5 and been legal.
Could have been.
But if they're, I actually did call about the Volvo several times. I did. And they got one ticket, they got one $10 ticket and said, oh, well, that was cheap parking, and they moved to the next parking spot for probably another 10
And
days.
if they park in one spot and tomorrow they move forward a spot, the day after a spot, they're perfectly legal under our parking lot.
That's why the 2 to 5 is imperative. That's why I'm saying,
What about the landlords and the building owners that, I thought that was an issue at one time that, I don't mean to.
Under the,
No.
from
That the
what I know of the
landlords were
village
supposed
law
to be
stuff,
responsible.
any new construction of apartments and stuff like that.
Folks,
has
this
to
is
provide
not a back
offsite.
and forth, one person at a time, whoever has the floor for the public comment. It's not a round table for you guys.
okay. Well, like I said, I just don't, I'm a simple layman, no pun intended. And don't understand why laws aren't enforced, because I just feel like that would make the parking totally
Give
different.
my partner those cars, we'll take a look at them and I'll make sure that day shift's aware of it tomorrow morning.
Well, he's in there like almost 24/7, all different hours, so he can pretty much tell you, like I said, 17 cars parked this morning at 7:30 and not a shop open. So they must be tenants. And it has become a tenant parking lot, and beautify the parking and get them to those spaces. And I'm not saying don't drop off your groceries.
Right.
You know,
Be reasonable about it, absolutely.
yeah, I think I am.
We have a parking committee and we have discussed this stuff many times, and this won't make you happy. One of the reasons that we have not piecemealed this, because there's a whole bunch of parking things, is that our intent, of course, the DRI is slower than heck getting to us. Our intent was when we get that $600,000 for parking on DRI, we will take care of all the things, reconfiguring where cars go, signage, rules, et cetera, et cetera. The code is not very strict. It doesn't mention, I already knew this, but it doesn't mention that you can't do it over and over and over again. It's not a increasing penalty for doing it over and over. Just as Jeff said, it's for not paying the fine. There's also not in the code an ability to tow for overtime parking. There's ability to tow for somebody in a place that is unsafe or shouldn't be there, but that doesn't mean these things can't be added, and we have talked about many of these things, including paid parking, including raising the fine, including changing the hours. So I know it doesn't help you to have us say that we're looking at it, we're going to do something about it, because you don't want us to going to do something about it, you want us to do something about it yesterday. I'm just telling you that it has not escaped us. And almost everything you said is, I wrote this 2/24/21. I wrote this a year and 2 months ago about parking and about some thoughts and suggestions. And of course, now it's a year and 2 months later.
And
And nothing's been done by me or by anybody
kind of
else.
getting worse, I think. And again, the snow removal is, I'm sorry, it's sad. I have an older clientele that come in and just say, why doesn't Owego take care of the village? And they're talking Front Street. So I went to DOT, because I was directed to DOT. DOT said, I cannot plow if there's a car there because that is classified as a parking spot now. I go out and around. Well, inevitably, there's a few moved in the beginning and then they swing deep. And then they swing out at the cellar and it's 6 feet tall and it's the handicapped and it's the drain storm and it's crazy. It's crazy the condition that Front Street is left in because the cars are not moving 2 to 5.
It's not just fun. I have a shop on North and do exactly the same.
Same.
My frustration there is that my tenants above me happy parking lot they used to use, which is 50 feet out from my building. I'm quite frustrated. They park from next door for 12 hours at a time. I go out, talk to them, and you think, oh, yeah. So the next day, we come back. It's a very frustrating, and I totally understand the point. And I'm on the parking committee, I can't do anything about it right now.
One more, I don't want to take up the time of the public for this. Once again, many possible solutions, don't know what decisions are going to get made, but another possible solution is, certainly in the wintertime, 2 to 5, you park your car there, and it's potential snow, we could put that in our code, we'll tow you right on, and you'll cost you $200. I'm just saying, there are other possible solutions and changes to the law, so we're going to be looking at all that. No, so I'm done and you guys get to talk.
Can I make another, if we can't enforce the overnight parking from 2 to 5, I've lived in a few different places in my short life. I've never seen a village or a town or any place else that does not have alternate street parking. You don't have to do it, and I was told that it's not being done because the village people, the back people that live on Temple Street and over there, they don't want alternate street parking. But on North Street and Main Street and Front Street and the central business district, alternate street parking. That at least gives the DOT enough time to clear one side of the streets and the next night clear the other side of the streets.
That would be, what do you do when it doesn't snow? Now you lose half your
It doesn't, no. Yeah, you lose half your parking. In the wintertime, if it doesn't snow, it doesn't matter. It's alternate street parking every night.
That's how they make their money in Brooklyn, that's how I got it.
That's all right.
Well, alternate street parking, most places is overnight.
It's from a
Certain time in the day, yeah, you gotta be out there with your car.
I would just hate to see you lose half parking. I like the alternative street idea. Yeah.
I think you just make it that it's a nighttime thing. Get the cars off the street at night. Most people, it's just, you don't have to do it.
How is it going to get enforced? If we can't enforce
I've seen people come out to move their car and it look like a big game of musical chairs. They'll sit and wait for that time and then they'll park back. And I wake up and say, oh man, it's a Thursday or Wednesday? Oh, never happened.
So, our DRI projects are starting. We are working with Hunt. We are already forming some committees on 4 of the village DRI projects. 1 is parking. We are going to have a committee. It will not have a ton of people on it, but it will be speaking with everybody, talking about ideas and stuff on parking. So we are going to have a bunch of public input, and so this stuff is coming more quickly than it has been. Once again, not today, but
just as a general note, we're planning construction on a lot of those DRI projects, at least building wise, next summer. And then we'll move it at a decent pace now.
Will they be doing the parking lots this summer?
Probably next summer.
Then what I can do is call. when I see the cars, I can call.
Absolutely.
Well, then I will take every little bit and piece that I can, and I will do my best for Front Street.
It does, I do it for, I call them all the time, I probably take them all.
Well, I guess they'll
So.
get used to me then, because it's a frequent offense on Front. And I will probably involve other people that have the same problem. So,
I don't think it would hurt to take a picture and put a timestamp.
oh, I have them on my phone if anybody wants to see them, and license plates. Yep.
Try and convince them to be better people. It's hard to do.
You know, like I said, it would be nice if they just were considerate, but I'll do my best, I'll call, and we can get things moving so we can clean our streets. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Oh, we got one from Mike.
Yeah, well, I think it is time to think about upping that fine for parking, because I think it's been $10 since like the 80s.
Yeah. We can tell you when that law was put in, the last change, but it's been a long time.
1892. It is on the to-do list. There are 3 or 4 things that you will probably, if we do it, and we do it somewhat, instead of putting it all off, and we do it somewhat soon, you would probably, these will be things that have a degree of effectiveness.
I would think that increasing the two is something to be relatively easy,
Yep.
relatively soon.
Oh,
It's just a motion, right?
No, we have to,
It's a law, it's a local law, but it's still
Oh,
not
it's not a
hard.
big deal, but it takes.
There will be the better contested the ones who do it.
Make them uncomfortable.
Not a big deal, it just takes a few more straight. Up on one street. Okay. Any other public comments?
You don't have those stickers. Is that against the law to put stickers on people's car now?
Stickers.
On the window?
Just point.
There says you parked here illegally or whatever. I know those used to be a very good deterrent also. People have to escape with the razor blade trying to get this. And they don't park there. I mean, you see cars driving around with what the remainder of what's left that they couldn't scrape on the window, off the window, driving around, people who weren't their lesson.
Spray paint.
But, I mean, there's so many ways to deter people. I was just wondering if that's under the same guise as chalk and wheels. It's like a trespassing now. Put something on my windshield.
I would have to say, if you can't chalk a tire, you can't put a sticker on the windshield.
I tell you, that glue that they use on those stickers on the windows.
That doesn't come off.
All right, so, Pat, we got you on the agenda. Pat, we got you on the agenda, so
Good lunch. Good lunch. Wow, all the time, yeah.
I'll stop over and show you something. Joey, I'm still talking. I'll stop over. Yeah.
all right, Pat, Wendy, you're up.
Oh, thank you. I got a copy of, just real simple. Obviously, I've been working 24/7 on the platform, I'm not done yet. But things are going along really good. Sorry, Dennis. The map that's on the last page, we haven't had our logistics meeting yet, but the problem's pretty much gonna be the same as we had before last week. You know, the same pattern. You know, with the bus going up North Avenue and dropping people. It's whatever pattern we had in 2019. It'll be the same pattern.
Yes.
Right.
Because I wanted to drop them off the bus.
Right.
We've tried to figure out many ways to get that bus going.
We got them close.
And then, the lineup, so.
You mean the entertainment?
Yeah. What did you think I meant? The entertainment lineup. Oh, that kind of lineup. I don't drive a Volvo. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. I mean, we're working fast and furious. I'm working 24/7, so.
So I know.
And we're raising a lot of money and, what's that?
I know fireworks on the agenda tonight, right?
Yeah, they're at 10 o'clock on Friday.
No, it's on our agenda tonight.
Right.
From the Green Commission.
Right, that's right. Yeah. Oh, that was the other thing too. I did receive, permission from Ag and Markets to serve as a, farm market. So I have a couple strawberry vendors. We have, Four Fights Distillery. They serve whiskey, scotch, and some other stuff. And we've got a cidery and, a farmhouse brewery is going to participate. And that money goes to a nonprofit.
No, you didn't say thanks.
Well, it goes to two nonprofits. So anyhow, I have that form if y'all want to take a look at it. I had it submitted to Albany, they returned it back.
I turned it in at the village office, so it's on file.
How do you have that file?
So we're
We're gonna have the alcohol tank.
We're gonna have the same place, but right now we've got in 3 vendors. If we get in one more, we'd be happy, and then we'll make it a little smaller.
Is that the spot you have?
on
When you say the
Courthouse
same place, you
Square.
need to tell us what the same place is.
Courthouse Square, sir.
So they're gonna need that law.
Okay, so yeah,
Yes.
this is, and now, I don't know if you have a copy or somewhere, and you want a copy of that, but. So Albany came back and needed a little bit more information, so we could figure it out. And we got approved.
You just wanted us to come back and tell you a little bit more about the wine tent, and what we were doing. So we thought we'd just come back and tell you that we fulfilled the requirements.
With the state on this thing.
Yeah.
It's on the requirements.
And the DOT permit and the mass gathering are being processed right now. Through Withdrawal.
You're working with Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff is helping us great.
For the emergency plan.
Right, and Paul Cole. And of course, who does help?
Oh, no, you know what, we haven't done logistics yet, but they're gonna be big dinosaurs on the other side of it, like big baby dinosaurs.
Oh, that'd be a great day to see.
Dinosaurs. So people can come up and pat it and hold it or whatever. So we're gonna put them on the other side of the street. So we get all those bounce houses, and we're not having those. Yeah, whole side is. Oh, good.
So we mostly just came to see if you had any questions for us. We think we've covered all bases, but
Yeah, the kids go in there.
we're willing to answer questions.
Yes, willing to answer any questions you have.
So we will have to do that, there's a permit to serve wine and alcohol on the village grounds.
Right, we need something like that from you, I would
Yes, you
imagine.
do.
Yeah.
I made a law for that, so we can now give you a permit.
Yay.
There you go. Village officers, you got the.
It's through us. We have to make a resolution that it's okay.
So, as per past years, Laura is certainly familiar with all of this. To do the alcohol sales, we require a number of things. We require that there's proper insurance,
Right.
all that, because you
We
did it
have the
before.
contract, our contract is very similar to what we require the food vendors, they have to have their liability, they have to have their alcohol permit, they have to have everything.
So I don't
Our
remember,
application is.
but I don't remember exactly all the things that we require, but they are, whatever. Their alcohol license, the proper insurance. Laura, what else did they require? Yeah.
The insurance paperwork, got indemnification paperwork from the Historic Owego Marketplaces insurance company got supplied to the village.
That's on file.
We've got it all right on the application. They can't
Right.
apply without,
Okay,
without that paperwork.
so one of the, if we're gonna make a motion to, I would expect what we'll do if we're gonna make a motion to give you a permit to do this, is that of course it will be contingent on all those.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't come in unless they have that
All those things, being fulfilled.
in agreement with the governor's office.
So, anyways, we're gonna have the tent, everything is, set in the tent, nobody brings booze in, nobody takes
Right,
booze
you
out,
have
all
to be
that.
21 or
stuff,
older,
all that
yes.
stuff.
No, open containers outside the tent. Yeah. We're running a tight ship.
This letter is not there in the packet for the agenda.
Oh, you do have a copy of it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Do we generally, when we do this, waive the, any permit fee for them, I believe we do.
Wait,
Any
That would be
permit fee.
nice. That would be nice.
So, or I could do it, I'll do it. I'm gonna make a motion that we, give the Strawberry Festival a permit for open container on, I lost it here, Friday. what did I
June
say?
17th,
17 and 18.
Friday, June
17th.
17, as per on Friday, June, I'll find it, 17, from 5:30 to 9.
And
A
Saturday.
permit, I'll get there, a permit, for the wine and beer tent, open container, in the wine and beer tent on Courthouse Square only, Friday 5:30 to 9, and Saturday 11 to 4:30. And the dates that we mentioned.
Any discussion on that?
And we waive any permit fee.
Oh, thank you very much.
Any discussion on that? Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And yes.
Free drink or waiting the fee? Stick with that emotion, Rusty.
We're gonna take the fifth.
Yeah.
I'll take the fifth too.
Yeah, there you go. We just had our first meeting at the Rainbow. So that's
Oh,
feeling good.
we usually go there after.
Okay. They have good french fries.
They do. And cigarettes.
What else we got?
So I just wanted to mention that the Lindsay Williams, the director of music over at Owego Free Academy, she's been great. And the students, I actually gave them extra time on Friday night, and they have wireless mics, and they're going to be doing a big flash mob from outside. They're already going to be wherever, and then they're going to do a conga line. Like some of you might remember when Stella was here, we did that huge conga line. We tried to break the world record. I don't know if we'll do that again, but try to break the record. So you never know.
It might be fun.
Trying, right? It's fun trying.
Sure. So, are we going to on Friday and Saturday, I know for the fireworks different, are we going to have Park Street open two-way traffic like we had in the past?
Park Street will be open for two-week traffic Friday afternoon until 8 p.m.
Until then.
Then we'll close it for the fireworks.
Yep.
And it'll remain closed all day Saturday.
Park Street will be closed all
Park
day Saturday.
Street will be closed all day Saturday.
And there's a reason I ask that stuff, because when we're gonna do all these things on the courthouse square, that always worries me. And when we're gonna do a flash mob, people on the square are all over the place, and Court Street will be closed, but Park Street won't be yet, so that just has concern for me.
Okay, I'll just tell Lindsay to make sure that they go in the other direction.
Yeah, but go over there on Court Street, that'll be closed to you.
Yeah, go over that way.
Stay away from Park Street.
Just go right behind the parade.
Well, they're doing it Friday.
Friday.
And then I've got drama scream, so that's gonna be real interesting. So they've been trying to get in the fair for that
What is
battle
that?
of bands for years. That's that girl Lauren that did that. Remember she did that song Breaks My Law and all the cops real young girl.
Can you send me what you passed out so I can include it in the plan?
Yeah, you can have one of these.
I like electronically, cut and paste is so much better than typing.
Okay.
Thanks.
Should we do the fireworks permit now?
Can I do one thing first?
Yeah.
Because we've asked them to bring stuff and because we say we want to know as we're going along, I want to make a motion to approve the Strawberry Festivals Committee document of their plans that they've given us tonight, music and streets, etc. Because we asked them to bring it, we say we want to get our permission for everything. I move that.
Discussion about it?
No, my original ad in our.
The blue one.
The blue one.
Right hand. Put your hand in the blue, right hand, nothing.
I'm looking under my right hand 25 times as my advisors say, right hand, right hand.
You're on the right hand.
I just need to keep this, it's like gold, you know? If I lose this piece
What
of
happened on my
paper, I'm in a
motion?
lot of trouble.
All right, we're talking about.
Second, you got a first and a
I
second.
got a first and a second. All right. This is a motion to approve the paperwork here.
Approve the plan as presented.
Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes, yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And yes.
Thank you. And we'll be in, Beacon one more time before the festival, just to give another update.
You're almost done. You gotta do your fireworks.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get so excited about it.
I'm trying not to take offense to it.
All right, so on the agenda,
Got work to do.
we have a resolution to approve the fireworks permit, which I think we already got all of it. 600 pages of information.
That's some different pages.
And the fireworks, that's Friday night, 10 o'clock.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the Strawberry Festival's fireworks permit as presented, contingent on that all the final pieces are covered. I think that's it, right? You know what I mean?
I second that.
They have all the regulations.
Contingent on the proper state, et cetera. So on that.
Never steal my motion again. Don't ever steal my motion again.
I take my motion back.
Sounds like lyrics.
Let's move it along. I'm trying to move it along.
Charles,
Don't steal my motion.
Yeah,
about fireworks? That was a good time.
So
Charles?
so you
Yes.
will sign the permit, there's a place where you have to sign it, or
Yeah.
Mr. Ulrich has to, I don't know
Yeah,
who
that's
does
Fred
it.
has to.
Yeah, okay,
This will let him sign it.
okay.
Charles?
yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And yes. Now Fred can sign the permit. All right, I think that's all of the strawberry stuff.
You can go now, Wendy.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We
Look forward to
appreciate
seeing you again.
everything.
We do. It's not on the agenda, is it?
Who's that?
Jeff's thing. Yes, they got a call.
Emergency plan?
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
It's not on the agenda, we're mandating it.
Everybody got a copy of the, Officer Winchell put together an emergency plan. That's part of our annual report, but just, you guys want to do this. So everybody's got a copy of the, your email and hard copy.
I didn't get it. When did that go out?
I don't know if you emailed it.
Early afternoon. Yeah, what else? This morning. This afternoon.
These kids are.
No, this-
Send it to Rod and Cindy to do
I don't know, we haven't, I know we tried to.
It may not have got you guys.
I don't have it. I didn't get it.
It was on the annual meeting to review this puppy. What? Yeah, so this is a new one. So we actually need to adopt. So what you're doing tonight, is just put them in copies, they can review it. And then at the next meeting on,
Yeah, how about Jeff give us just a quick,
all right,
yeah.
So the chief of police appointed me as an emergency management coordinator to take a look at the village-wide emergency plan. And we, we we have copies of the county hazard mitigation plan, and there's a whole breakups for every municipality. So we reviewed the Cavite County, mitigation plan. And then what we did is we took our old plan is very in-depth, it's very wordy. So you have to read almost the entire book to get what you need out of it. And the state has adopted a new plan model, where the plan model has a basic emergency plan, which is what we emailed out or what's been presented to you. The basic emergency plan has some general accepted things in there, like we know we're gonna flood. We know we're gonna have building fires in the village that are can be catastrophic. There's certain knowns that come into the emergency plan. And then with the adoption of the general information emergency plan, behind that is addendums, and the addendums are actually listed in the emergency plan here. The emergency plan identifies the order of succession for the elected officials. The emergency plan identifies who the emergency managers are, the mayor, the police chief, and the fire chief. The plan also adopts in plan the National Incident Management System, commonly known as NIMS, and the principles of ICS, the Incident Command System, which are mandated by New York State law as being generally accepted by the village as part of their emergency plan. It's an all hazards plan. It takes a look at all the stuff that we anticipate coming into the village and gives us a framework to deal with any potential hazard that comes into the village. It calls on the village board to meet in the time of emergency to deal with legislative issues that need to be brought before the board. And then on page 15 of the plan, and the page numbers are up in the top left, but on page 15 of the plan, it starts listing the annexes. And you see there's about 25 annexes that are in the plan. And these plan annexes are very fluid. They change depending on the hazard, depending on how buildings change in our community. So the annexes are like a very fluid part of the plan that it can always be changed to meet the needs of the village as we go. The EOC was established. We've actually invested money in the police department to put it in an EOC, and we have another EOC that's at the fire training center that's being built up, and for radios. As part of this phone upgrade that we're doing, I've asked to have all the village phones from every one of our buildings replicated at the police department. So if DPW is underwater, or this building goes down for whatever reason, we can go to OPD and we can run business, we can run the village from the police department, and eventually we'll replicate that over to the EOC at the fire training center. Doesn't really cost us much, and it allows us to continue doing business as a village in the time of emergencies. It talks about plan maintenance and development. The police chief, fire chief, and mayor are responsible for the plan. And I've kind of taken this and run with it, updating it with input from the police chief and the fire chief to make sure that the plans what they want. And then once the plan is adopted down the road, we'll start the beginnings of the working of the addendums and build up and identify things that we need as a village, like sheltering and different things. So that if we have an emergency, we open the book, flooding, addendum C, open the C, and bang. Who does what? Here's the contact numbers. This is what we expect to be done in certain periods of time. So it's a comprehensive plan. It's similar to most municipalities around us. But the basic plan is what we adopt, and then the addendums, the annexes behind it are what keeps us going every day.
So I have a recommendation that we get this in hard copy or on our cell phones, that the village board looks it over individually with others, with the other important research, looks it over, and in a couple of weeks we 2 weeks, we come back and consider passing this document. Don't want to just do stuff right here without knowing what
Do
we're
we
doing.
need to present it to the public?
It will probably be available to the public on our site.
There's actually a link right on the front page. It
There you
says,
go.
it says link to village website, place here. And then inside there, I can't remember what page it's on, but there's actually a link to the county's website to their countywide mitigation plan. So if you need to reference that, it's all linked together.
I can put it on the website somewhere. Once it's adopted. Yeah, it'll be.
Well, that's my recommendation, that we don't attempt to try and talk this over amongst ourselves right now without any knowledge about it. So we do that next time.
We've actually tested this plan a couple times.
Yeah.
It works fairly well. I don't have any complaints about it. Anybody else have any questions around it? Otherwise, we'll get it to the people who didn't get it, and we'll put on the agenda next time.
Thanks for doing it, Jeff.
That's what?
A non-stop.
Oh.
You should have made it. It's still, that's legal.
Nate, are you there?
Oh.
What's the status of the Knox box law?
The knockbox law. I have a draft of that prepared, and we can get that circulated around, I think, to the fire chief. Didn't seem like an immediate need, but we can definitely get that moved forward on the burner.
Yeah, as well, before we forget about it.
Okay.
You want to know what the next step was?
Yeah, we have these in the box.
Yeah, it's an armored box that mounts to the building, and then the fire department, the police department, and the ambulance have a master key that's under secure process. You can open it and it allows you to beam into the building without having to do damage for emergencies.
You got all the major elevator, stuff, gas room.
What do you keep under this? Just tell me you don't. Yeah, I know how many cookies I have.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Ron, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right. Moving on. We got the department head reports, and we got a bunch of them.
Yeah, what?
I don't have anything beyond my report that I sent out. And, I think there's 3 motions that come up. Nothing beyond that.
When I spoke to Chris from Hunting Engineering, he said he's supposed to be about the clock tower. So, I'll elaborate on that. The only thing else I have is what I do for the rest.
Yeah, so the update on the clock tower, we're just gonna talk about it in DOR. They are just about ready to go out to bid for the roof. They're gonna include the repair of the clock tower in that bid to get us prices. He thinks it's gonna be somewhere around 80 to 100 grand. Fix the clock tower. But that's not like a bid. Obviously, you can prepare the documents and see what the price is gonna be.
We have about 2,000.
Yeah, like 200,000.
200,000, okay.
But we gotta do a roof too,
Yeah.
and whatever else we can do. So, that's up to the contract. Basically, from the brick, if you look at it, this is the brick portion, like with the door that you go in, if you're up on the roof. From that portion up has to be basically rebuilt. And you gotta find somebody to do it and match the historical value of it. But they're gonna give us some real numbers on it. We don't have to.
And they're gonna do the actual roof leaking or just?
Yeah.
Getting leak?
Yeah. Because of the water and everything.
So it's still added to one of the concerns that.
Yeah, we don't face the black hole.
Right. That's why it's kind of included with the roof.
And the new truck is still on, it's ready to be completed. We went down to Jersey last week before the walkthrough on the foot. Rusty has the invoice for the truck, and then we asked that some changes be added, more shelving in the truck and stuff like that, for parking spaces. So I think that Rusty's got one that I'll talk about. I don't know, there's ways to come up with the money to cover those shelves. We'll get those to see the truck, I would assume, probably.
And then we got one item on the agenda for fire trucks. Correct?
We've been cleaning the streets and, taking guardrails off for the cemetery. We're gonna be replacing them, the new ones tomorrow, starting tomorrow. 800 feet on the main entrance, another 300 feet on the 89 that we're doing tomorrow, starting tomorrow. So roughly 2 days for the main entrance and another day and a half for the 89.
We haven't restrict access at all.
Nope. Nope. My proposal to the cemetery is when they get enough money for the grant for blacktop, is move it over towards the mountain, towards the rock side of it. Looks good.
We have this thing, Joe.
Yes, we absolutely. Please, thanks. We have a letter of resignation from Dusty McCartney. Yep. And he's going to be moving to Vestal Police Department. And so as of May 12th, he will be resigning from us, and May 12th, he will be starting with Vestal to ride in the truck. We have, I'll give this also to Rodney, a list of the calls, et cetera, for the year and the month from the chief. And then he has 3 or 4 things that he would like to tell the board or ask the board. The first is he would like permission to apply for a grant, which he has done a number of years before for both with vests. And the last one expired in September of this year. It pays 50% of the cost of vests. All the new officers have to have vests, and then all vests that are no longer useful have to be purchased. Usually this grant is for somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000, depending on how much is needed. So would like to give a motion that we give the police chief permission to apply for a grant for the Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest Grant, as we're called. Does it need to have a number? $5,000 to $10,000.
I so move or second.
As long as making motions.
He was trying to second it.
Yeah, in there.
Any discussion about that?
Is there a matching?
50%.
This is 50%, this grant pays for. We pay 50%, they pay 50%. But then there are also
We're gonna
some.
need to put that in our budget for this next year, then, right?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
And there are also some other options to get that other 50% also.
Wonderful.
I said also twice.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's stuff with the Bible in there, so. Yeah. We get some other acts fast, that's always a good deal.
Yeah.
Vote on that, Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Yes.
The second thing we had was the emergency plan, which we've already presented. The next thing was the Knox box, which we presented. Strawberry Festival work, Jeff is working on the final safety plan as all the details come in for the Strawberry Festival. Dusty's resignation. And we put this off, and it looks like we need to stop putting it off. A circus has decided that they want to come to Marvin Park in Owego, and this information may not be incredibly accurate because this just came today on a telephone call. So don't take it as definitive. But they would like to come on the 1st of July and have Marvin Park for a circus. And when we had the last monster truck thing, we decided that we were going to change our permits, regulations, our permit prices, et cetera, before we let somebody else have that park for a couple $100, the whole park for however long to make however many thousands of dollars they want to make about it. So we said we were going to get after that. Well, whether we approve the circus or not, we're going to need to get after that. And probably need to get after it before we approve the circus. Probably more than one. What do you think? Okay, most of it.
But do we have any figures on what it cost us last year to repair Marvin Park afterwards?
Yeah, they repaired it.
They did all the repairs?
Did a pretty good job.
We think it's got a heck of a deal with that.
Well, they were going to pay the track across the river $7,000 or $8,000 for that would be nothing. And they got our thing for a couple $100. That's just we decided to talk about that. That's inappropriate.
The permit wasn't really designed for the monster truck thing.
And there are worries. We don't know much about this yet. Are you bringing in a big pile of animals? Where do you want to put it? How big is it going to be? Are you going to bring in all kinds of other trucks to sell other things? How much damage will animals do? This circus goes, it's going to be in Trumansburg the day before. This circus goes to a place, the next day it goes to another place, goes to another place. So they're not going to spend and that circus is over at 8 at night. They're not spending a whole lot of time cleaning up, I would guess.
Yeah,
I don't know that.
One day here?
Yeah.
You know, monster trucks, they had a crew that came after. Crew came before, and crew came after.
So anyways, a lot more details on this potential circus, but I wanted everybody to be aware. Just
Okay. If you're gonna do the fees, EMS and fire department, police fee. Yeah, because, I mean, those people need to be there. That's something we don't.
Is there anything? Is there anything in that emergency plan you just discussed about what happens in tiger dissolution?
Nothing about tigers. They said we got to add the addendum in the back. Circuses or ambulance use.
So the chief talked to these folks today, and he asked numbers of questions. He asked how many people are you expecting, and the gentleman said he thought maybe 500 people would be coming. So anyway, there's just a lot of things about this particular one and about us. So we probably should sooner than later figure out our potential fees. And so maybe that's another thing for the trustees to talk with each other, talk around, talk with the mayor, talk with everybody, and have a feel. Maybe next meeting we get moving on this.
Yeah, I think we talked about that circus. You hear about the third one still there? There's rumors about it. I don't know if they knew where they were going to put it. Center, and then I heard something about the field.
Because this is brand new. This is today. That just came. Nate, this just came today. We didn't know.
We'll tell you about it.
Okay, so
it's a conversation.
I think that's all we have from the police department. I probably forgot something.
Have you heard anything from Robin?
No, I haven't.
Right? So it's on the agenda. We are trying to get moved over. Recent investment. All right, fire truck funding. So this is Nate and Rod showed it.
So, Rod, do you want to go first?
No, sir, you go.
So, Mayor, not sure if you saw my text message from earlier, but if you could reposition the microphone a little closer to the group, then I might have been able to hear Rod. I just heard him mumble in the background. But
Hold on, thanks for doing that. I wasn't.
It's on a fairly long cord. I just need a change.
we heard Julie Nucci, or at least I heard Julie Nucci really well earlier.
Yeah, she was sitting right next to us.
That makes sense. Somebody took a table up here in the middle. Seems to be
Can't talk under your breath. It's a hot mic now.
missing.
So Rod, can you say what you said earlier?
We were talking about the funding for the fire truck.
Oh man, it sounds even worse, right, Laura?
Is it better or worse?
No, it sounds slightly better, but very low volume.
Hold on.
Try turning the volume up on it.
We'll approve the funding by the time this gets done. We can just do that right now.
No, it should be all the way up.
Wait, so Mike, stay there, and then let's hear Rod talk.
Nate, what kind of information are you gonna tell us?
Rod, can you lean forward?
Can you hear the rest of us?
No, Charles, I can hear you really well. I think I heard Rusty and Fran. So anyway, getting to the meat of it. So for the fire truck, we're borrowing from the Bank of Greene County. We're using $200,000 of reserve funds from the capital reserve for equipment, and the authorizing resolution has the balance coming from basically the bonding, the borrowing from the bank. So Rod, I know we've had several discussions about how the breakdown should occur, and I assume that's why this is on the agenda right now.
Well, originally I wanted to borrow or add an additional $40,000 out of this year's budget to make our total that we had to pay for it, like $40,000 less. So what is that? 280. I think we wanted to borrow 280 from the bank. Is that right?
Nate,
Rusty?
speak?
Yeah.
Nate,
280.
wait, I know what the resolution said we made, that we were gonna use 200,000 from the reserve and we were gonna borrow up to 350 to pay for it. Can we use 200 from the reserve, 40,000 from somewhere else and borrow 280? With
Yeah,
that
so
last resolution?
Yeah, this is what I've been actually working on with the bank and asked them, and it appears based on the email that I have from Don McCormick, the commitment, the loan officer there. They don't have any problem loaning the full amount that we need and then allowing the village to prepay. So the issue comes down to when we pass the resolution authorizing the financing of it, we have to spell out to the public the sources of the funding, which can be reserve fund, fund balance, however that's appropriated, plus future payments. And what we're doing is basically, and this is, it's because it's been almost a year since this purchase was authorized. I mean, I think this is probably what Rod was thinking of a year ago, that we would use fund balance. It's just that wasn't, I think, clearly communicated almost a year ago how exactly we were going to pay for it. And so because the bank is willing to allow prepayments, Rusty, what you're suggesting can happen, be implemented.
So do we have to do it in that form, in a prepayment form, or can we just appropriate the 40,000 of it out of a different source?
It will be, we will bond for the full amount, and then you will authorize later on a prepayment of whatever that amount is that you're looking to use from your fund balance. The only other way we could do it is to amend your financing resolution, which would require a new permissive referendum notice and then delay the funding.
No, we don't want to delay it. They want
Yeah, we
to
don't
fire
wanna
truck as soon as they get it.
Okay. So can I throw a couple things in here real quick from the chief?
Yep.
So the total price of the truck is $519,521, which is about the $520 we had talked about. There are a number of things, because the chief has spoken, that there are some things we need on that truck and want to have that come to about $9,400 of add-ons. They will give us a discount on that of $2,000, making that $7,441-ish, making the total price of that truck with, if we add those add-ons into that price, $526,900, so about $527,000. That'll be the total price with the add-ons that are wanted. So we would need to bond for the 200 and then another 327. So we would do that, and then of course, if we can come up with $40,000 or $60,000 to pay it down, we could get closer to the payment thing that we're looking for. But there obviously is a new payment schedule until we buy it down. So we buy that down at no penalty.
Correct. My understanding is they will allow prepayment without penalty.
Okay.
And then I guess the only other thing that has occurred to me to include, and now you're all going to be like, ugh, lawyers.
Yeah, we feel that way anyway.
So you can, this is an outside retainer matter. We don't typically do bonding work for, we're rather within our general matters retainer. So we are keeping track of our time separately to bill that. You can include in your total amount financed an amount necessary to cover legal costs.
How much would that be?
We don't want to talk to you about this anymore.
Yep. But if 327 is the amount to cover the purchase of the vehicle plus the add-ons that you're talking about, I can assure you it is, if we round it up to 330, I'm not going to take that. It'll be less than that, but just to make sure that your authorized bonding amount is enough to cover it all, I would recommend having the 330 being the bonding amount, which is within the authorized total amount that we talked about a year plus ago.
So Nate or Rodney, that, once again, that will be pretty much Green's, the 3.49% interest will remain, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, obviously the payment will be more unless we buy it down. Does everybody understand that?
Yeah. So do we have to have a motion to?
No, because I think the bonding thing said we could borrow up to 350, is that right, Nate?
Correct.
Okay, so we're covered.
We can do it. Do we need to say that we're going to borrow 330?
Do we need a motion to accept that financing?
Probably.
You do not. All of these matters were delegated in the financing resolution to Rodney, actually.
All right, perfect.
All right, great. All right, everybody. Fire truck shortly.
Hopefully we never have to use it to approve those add-ons. Yep.
Do we have to approve the add-ons, or is that we're just going to?
It's under the price that we.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to do this. All right.
Okay.
So we do have a motion here, because there's an old resolution
We do that.
that talks about how we distribute our fire contract money. So somebody want to do that?
Yeah, sure. In 1985, Chief Warner came to the village of Owego and asked them to make an agreement where the fire truck contract monies, how they would be allocated. And that agreement was passed by the village board in 85, and it allocated 10% of the fire contract monies to the fire department for administration, 10% to the village general fund for administration costs and 80% to the reserve. I will be making a motion that from the beginning of the year 2021 until the year 2031, that all contract monies go to the payment of the note, or whatever we call it, for the new fire truck. So that 10-10-80 will no longer apply. Now, that's a motion. I'll talk about it in a minute.
You got that right. A second that.
So the deal there is the village will no longer take 10% of that money. That money will all go to the fire truck. The fire department will no longer get 10%. And there will not be anything, it will not be put into reserve. It will just go immediately to that truck.
Any other discussion on that?
I'll second.
We'll vote on that, as long as Nate's not gonna yell at us. Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes. Sorry, I was just.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yeah.
And yes. All right, I think that's everything about the fire truck. Our next item is the VFW Memorial Day Parade. Why does this say Monday, May 3rd?
Is this like a?
What day is Memorial Day?
It's not tomorrow.
Generally, it's May 30th. Generally, it's May 30th, but it may be May 3rd this year.
It says Monday, May 3rd.
We're trying to say.
30th?
I think forgot the zero.
30th.
Oh, so it's supposed to be the 30th?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget the zero in that financing.
So everybody get the parade permit? I think the permit has the right date on it.
So I make the motion to approve the VFW Memorial Day Parade permit for Monday, May 30th, 2022.
I'll second that.
Ron beat you to it,
Waited for hesitation.
I know. Any discussion about that? Normal Memorial Day Parade. Back last year was the vehicle parades. Yeah, it's nice to see a regular parade. The Little League just had one, so.
It was a drive-by.
Drive-by, yeah.
Can we get another skaters again this year? Going down really fast.
Gators, might be a little bumpy, I don't know. I was thinking about riding my bicycle.
You and Charles, right?
Yep.
Not till after June.
All right, Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And yes. All right, next topic. I say topic, there's a bunch of them. Merit raises.
So I move to approve the merit raise to part-time DPW worker. We have David Thompson of $1.80 effective May 9th, 2022.
And a second, and the only thing that's not in there is it per hour. It just says $1.80, but it's per hour, but it should be in the line.
Yeah.
That's your fault, it's just not.
I'll cover it.
I know, $2 once.
Yeah, yeah.
$1.80 per year.
Yeah, $1.80 per year.
Something, equipment operator.
All right, any discussion on that? Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And a yes.
Can I ask a quick question? These are the ones you want, right? This is all accurate, what you asked for, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Moving
on. Okay. I move to approve a merit raise for MEO Kenneth Wolf of, is that 49 cent?
Yep. Per hour.
Per hour, effective May 9th, 2022.
Second.
She seconded. Brand, Ward, Rusty.
Laura will be in a second.
All right. Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And yes.
Thank you.
I got this one, Charles.
Not
You got
done
that
yet.
one?
Wastewater.
I move to approve a merit raise of $1 per hour for Joshua Bowen Judson for passing the WWTP operator trainee test, effective 5/9/2022.
I second that.
Okay. Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And yes. One more go.
May you
Is it
give
big
me
one?
information on this one, Tracy, but it's quite a jump. I just want people to understand why.
So Dirk took over the chief operator's position and crew chief position when Blaze resigned and left. So this I think Ron mentioned rather large raises will make up for all the added duties that he's taken on with those titles at the plant. So,
Mr. Mayor,
Rusty?
that's already in the budget. Mr. Dinmore got that price, 27 an hour, what it is. Mr. Mosier is just going up that 5 to get to what we'd already paid our operator. Now he's the operator, so it's just the same amount we got. And actually, we're not that we want to have less people. We're actually not now paying Mr. Mosier the 22 an hour or whatever he had. So we have that. That's also in the budget for further hire.
Okay, with all that said, I would like to approve a merit raise of $5 per hour for Dirk Mosier for assuming the duties of WWTP Chief Operator since the resignation of Thomas Dinmore. This raise will be retroactive to December 27th, 2021.
I'll second that.
All right, any more discussion on that? Like Rusty explained, it's already been in the budget, and he said we're actually out of one person, so we're saving a little bit of money, so. Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And yes. And if all these raises came now, in case you didn't catch the last episode of our sitcom, we approved the union contract last time, so now we're catching up. Yep, got a new hire next.
I would move to approve hiring Charles Whelan III as a laborer at the wastewater treatment plant at a starting salary of $13.50 per hour. With a minimum probationary period, I assume?
yeah.
Hey, Fran. Second that.
Second.
Seconded by Fran. All right. Any discussion on that? Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And yes. Next item is a Fred deal, repairs to courthouse gazebos and benches.
Had me already done.
What do you want to tell us about?
The stairs, side rail on the gazebo need to be repaired.
Yep.
The benches, there's the 5 of them at least that are broken, that I wouldn't want to have anybody sitting on. And possibly shingling the gazebo.
Okay.
The little, I mean, kind of half, but definitely need stairs, the railings, before somebody falls.
That's something we need to rope off. I know there's supposed to be some day of prayer coming up this
There's
week.
only, I talked to Bobby, there's only supposed to be 2 people up there, and I mentioned it to him to pay attention to it.
Okay.
But it's something that needs to be done.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I think Cindy said, or maybe Rob said that the Rotary was gonna paint it.
Correct. So they've agreed to kind of take care of it once we get it fixed up. They'll paint it, they'll trim the bushes, they'll, you know, but they can't do the carpentry work.
Right. Yeah.
So, what do you need from us for that? Just,
Well, we need
So
to
dollar-
budget it or whatever.
Is there a dollar figure?
I have not gotten estimates yet or anything.
so I guess get some estimates and we'll figure it out.
The park benches, did we get them from somewhere? Is that what we're going?
I don't know.
We might have 3 coming from the Lions Club.
Right.
They called me back and they're working on it.
Do we have a place that we can order them from?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so.
We get
Okay. Yeah, no, that's the other thing is the ones that we have are cast. The legs are cast, so when it freezes, it's not very strong. So that's why they're breaking it on, or the legs at the bottom.
She was just looking at benches, like for North Ave maybe?
Yes.
Didn't we get a Main Street grant for North Ave?
Yes.
Do benches, and I'm just thinking we should match the same benches.
That might have been the last board meeting or the one prior.
We should check with, economic development. Brittany, Woodburn,
Right, so there's continuity throughout the village.
yeah. Because there's some new benches coming to North Ave, and we should try and match the same benches.
Right.
And maybe we get a deal, we buy a couple extras or whatever.
I mean, I don't know. Is there any out front? Is there any benches out front that I like? Is there benches out there?
Out here.
Here?
No, at the courthouse, out front.
I mean, by the street? There's benches at the courthouse. They may not be,
I
but.
just checked on one, I just know the ones around the gazebo are shot.
Okay.
I don't know, it was 3 or 4 off highway.
Is there 3? I thought it was 2, but okay. I don't know.
Right where you cross, I think there's 2.
There's one last little piece. Will these be Tyler proof?
It's a very large gentleman who likes to sleep.
Oh, yeah, that's what you're talking about. I did not put a guarantee on that one.
That's my own mouth.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. Well, it's, look at wheels are, the benches are. The problem is the cast iron.
We do have a bench somebody donated in the name of Ed Arrington.
Okay.
So we just have to decide where to put it. And the family would like to be contacted when we do it. I got a little name plaque we want to put on it. I was thinking maybe even in front of this building, like right up.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
So we still need 3 votes for that, is that the general gist?
Depending on the amount, yeah. So, yeah, get quotes and figure it out. All right, next item is payment of bills. Everybody get all the bills? A little bit of a mess this month. Kim was out.
Thanks, Grace.
We can.
See anything that jumped out at you, did you?
Yeah,
I haven't
no,
seen anything.
looked at it. We all kind of looked at it because Kim wasn't here, so.
Actually, Kim came back part-time today. She's been out, had a hip replacement, then she got COVID, so it's been out for a couple, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But she's working half-time again for another week or so, and then she's.
Cindy and
I'll be here, I gotta talk to you later.
mingling. Just mingling.
Who made a motion?
Can't sit that long in the chair.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we accept the payment of the minutes.
Yeah. Gosh.
I'll second.
All right, you got you this time.
Thank you, Laura.
There any other discussion on the bills? Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And a yes. Next thing is the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented. I sent a quick message to the clerk's office just to fix my name in it.
Yep.
Spencer.
We got that.
Awesome.
We'll copy and paste.
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded by Fran. Any other discussion about the minutes? Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
I'll abstain.
Okay.
Oh,
And yes from me.
this was the minutes?
You said yes.
I need to abstain, I'm sorry, I wasn't here for the, I'll take that out.
Change it.
We still have enough votes for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You watch us online?
I wasn't paying attention.
Couldn't get us on the dial. Rotary.
AOL service?
All right, trustee reports. Charles, what you got?
I have no report at this time.
Rusty,
No report.
you're heading to NICOM, right?
Oh, yeah. Night come Wednesday. Try to, I'll just chat, because I never shut up. If there's anything anybody wants, especially anybody on the board, looked at information, t-shirt. Let Fran or I know, because we'll attend those things and try to get that. I'm going to try to get more of information about how to spend those stimulus funds, but whatever the latest is, then I'm going to try to get more marijuana information and other information.
Some edibles.
Samples.
I'll tell you about all that later.
Sitting there on the cannabis.
Get some good trinkets from the vendors, bring back.
Oh, that's right.
Always have those nice
Swag,
like
the swag
mailers.
bag.
We have too much fun.
All right, Ron,
I went to a resident who had complained about code violations on Chestnut Street, talked to her, she showed me the houses where the infractions were.
Is this with the rats?
Yes, there is quite a bit of garbage in some of those homes, and I do see her concerns. So I
Is
thought
that
I would bring it up to
Dunbar?
Mick, and, yeah, I'm already on. So I tried to talk to her neighbor, who I guess had a verbal interaction with the people who threatened to harm him, so it's not exactly a friendly bunch of people apparently. And there are quite a few houses, and then also the Chestnut and Spencer T, there was concerns about that one as well.
Yep.
I told her I would bring it up at the board meeting and talk to Mick about some of the violations.
okay, and I'm sure Mick's aware of it.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Was it a matter of just getting garbage that's on both sides? Just,
Well, the one house has a trailer and a pickup truck that's been full of garbage and garbage bags for quite some time.
Right.
I do
and now it's heating up.
You talk about process?
Chestnut.
Chestnut.
Down to Spencer on
We have
the
another one on process.
south side.
Yeah, I know Mick's been working a couple of them.
Yeah, 'cause I've been,
And that stuff starts to thaw out.
That one place by the Greens.
Oh, well, that's up for county foreclosure.
Is it foreclosed? Because I know who wants it.
It might be on the auction. Have to look.
So is it posted for the auction now?
Yes.
So I can tell him?
Well, but the auction, I don't know when the date is, won't be till August.
Well, he said he wanted to know when, he wanted to be on top of it when it was the freeze one.
Tell him, okay, tell him to contact Jim McFadden, treasurer. But it's not near the east.
Yeah, this is right next door to Reed's. He wants to make that into a parking lot. That double wide on Prospect Street.
Oh, okay, behind him, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that the one you're talking about is gonna be up?
No, I'm talking about the one that's down by Dave Bowen's lot. There's a house next door there, right?
Oh,
That's right.
okay.
Well, I'm not sure about the other.
Okay. Well, if you hear anything that comes up, I know someone. No. As far as I was told, no. Mick was telling me the boy moved out of it, the sister owns it. I don't know the whole story, but there's nobody living there. It's trash.
We'll get some.
Yeah. Mick has been on it.
Maybe go to the brief guy.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
I trust you.
You got Jim.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, I just told her that she deserved a response, because she did submit it in an email to everybody.
Yeah.
And I like to keep people in my word happy, with the exception of the mayor and the deputy mayor.
Yeah, don't.
They can take care of themselves.
Yeah.
But that's the end of my report.
All right. Fran?
Well, I would just like to thank our new department head, Fred. He's been doing a fantastic job there in the cemetery with all the guys up there. I mean, they've been up there sucking up leaves and taking care of dead branches and, you know, the guardrail and all that. It's great to see things moving along. We had a community work day last Saturday and cleaned up a good part of the Civil War section up there. And we will be going up there again on May 21st, which is Saturday. We normally work up there at 9 o'clock in the morning, but we've got guests coming, Gail and Tina Utter. They're coming to help us show us how to go about securing some of the stones and monuments and cleaning the stones. So that's going to be at noon instead of at 9 o'clock that day. And well, there has been some work done on the trees up there by arborists, but we need to talk about that. The Friends of Evergreen, they've got one of the stained glass windows finished and the second one out being worked on. And they're almost finished with signs that they're developing to for the entrance to Evergreen and for up by the caretaker's cottage. And we've talked with Fred about installing them. You know, it needs to be professionally done, not just so. That's about all for right at the moment.
Okay. Did they get that Platt monument fixed?
Yes, yeah. Well, Peter Gordon talked about that last meeting. There is a resident of the village which is donating the money to get that fixed, and we're hoping once that's put back together, maybe in the fall, we'll have some sort of a rededication for the Platt. You know, get into. Well, I mean, we'll present that when the time comes, but yeah, it's gonna be worked on over the summer.
Cool. All right. Anything else?
No, that's all for now.
All right, you're going to Nikon too, so have fun.
Yeah, I plan on cannabis.
The session on cannabis.
Y'all carpooling?
Yes, session on cannabis.
You guys carpooling or?
Be clear.
Follow each other?
And I've
Taking 6 cars.
6 cars?
6 cars each?
Yes, 6 cars each. No, I'm interested too in checking out some of the grant program, you know, the presentation on that. Always gotta look for money.
There were some good topics. Sad I can't go.
58 cents a mile, we're taking the long route.
One way around.
All the way around Lake George.
Yeah. Sightseeing. All right, Laura?
Well, there is an upcoming meeting on Thursday. It's the OHPC. They meet at 7 p.m., 20 Elm Street. They have one actionable item on the agenda for an application, and they're also going to be reviewing signs and normal business. That's a Thursday, whatever date that is, this Thursday, 7 p.m. And then also I did attend New York Southern Tier Water Trail Visioning Workshop. And we were just talking about all of the water access and trails and recreation activities around the greater area. And so I was just trying to make sure that Owego had like a good representation. And I was joined by Kevin Millar, Brittany Whitburn, Rebecca Maffei. So there was like a lot of good people working for Owego and the county. So that's it for me.
Okay, thanks, Laura. Ed, you got anything?
No, nothing for me.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, I forgot one thing.
go ahead.
Hey, can we set up that work day for May 21st at Martin Park?
Oh, yes, the cleanup day.
Slipping out of time, yeah, just to clean up, kind of help out DPW and show our love for the community.
Yeah.
Mother's Day is the 8th, so that shouldn't interfere with that.
That's true.
Same day as the cemetery workday.
May 21st.
You already have your rakes.
I know. We want to, what time do we want to do it?
8 to 12, I think, is that?
That's fine. Or 9.
In the morning?
Yeah. There is a morning service, not just PM.
All right, we'll say 8 to noon.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I want to.
I will bring muffins.
Oh,
We'll make a list of stuff we want to do and we'll get with Fred to get supplies over there.
Paint. What do you want to do about the grandstands? Where they've spray painted the brick?
I don't know.
Like an acetone or
Yeah,
something?
that's what I was wondering. Would that kill the grass on there?
No. I wouldn't worry about that. I don't know how you can get out the brick. It's an eyesore.
Probably do out your
graffiti?
Yeah.
Well.
It's not a Banksy, is it?
Excuse me?
It's not a Banksy, is it?
Banksy.
Banksy?
It's,
He's an artist.
He's an artist.
Or a street artist, his stuff is worth millions of dollars.
Definitely not that.
Goes on the brick, we take the
We
brick
take the brick
wall off.
wall off and sell it.
It's true.
It's true. Not making this up.
No, I don't think it's that.
Go check it out.
Yeah.
I don't believe we have any $1 million street artists beautifying our parks.
Yeah, we should figure that out. Coming over the whole thing or what?
Well, the bricks are not painted. The blocks inside, the blocks are not painted. So if you wanted to paint, I mean, that's a
It's a big job.
yeah.
Easier to remove the thing than to paint over.
Yeah, we can.
If we can, exactly, if we can.
You gotta get a sign.
There we go. Put a
Whatever
sign
you
in.
want to do.
Put a sign, it's a
Put a
circus.
sign to the wood too.
Put a sign.
Circus coming July.
Circus on July 1st.
There you go. There you go. There you go now, or?
No.
I had one of, I
Yeah, much
forgot
less.
about with the cemetery, the Friends of Evergreen have put in, a grant, with Abby over at, Two Tyler at the Mildred Faulkner Truman Grant.
Okay.
Hopefully get some more things done at the, cemetery chapel.
The parking lot, right?
Yeah, parking lot mainly, yep,
She talked about
that's all, sorry.
So next topic is communications. We got an email from Nate, which I was gonna ask him about video meetings. So is there some update to the emergency thing or whatever?
Yeah, so in the recent budget that was adopted by the state, there is a change to the open meetings law authorizing permanently remote attendance by trustees. There needs to be a local law adopted by the village, though, to allow that. And then we also need to consider some procedures and policies in addition to that, basically setting the parameters for it. So it's just something to put on everyone's radar. We're working on it. We have a draft local law actually from the Association of Towns, which we are using for our various municipalities. The big thing again is the procedures authorizing it.
So when does the authorization to hold remote meetings end if we don't adopt that local law?
It is, if not the end of this month, then I think June 15th.
Okay. Just because if we don't have that law passed, then our trustees will have to be here, or there's some funky noticing that has to happen on the agenda. like
Correct.
where you can be, and you can have members of your public show up to your living room like Laura's in. Rusty?
I heard Nate's exact words, so that means trustees can do that virtually, but the attorney can't, of course, he has to be here.
Yeah, we can make that a rule.
It can be a rule. Happy to show up. My wife will hate me, but that's okay.
More.
Yeah, bring her with you.
All right.
Yeah, she probably hate him even more.
Another communication thing, so that's coming. Another communication thing is the DRI committees will meet again like they did about a month ago, before our next board meeting.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks from now, whatever that date is.
Trying to follow the same time pattern or whatever.
I think we're gonna adjust the times a little bit, but the same order. So 16th, I think, is the date.
May 16th.
Will we meet again on Monday before the?
Yes.
Monday the 16th.
So, with Hunt.
That's a week.
They were good meetings last time. Everything there is moving forward. Pretty steady pace for a phone call every Friday with them. We're plugging forward. That's all I have for communications.
Are things moving forward with the sewage
Yes.
line?
Yep.
To cross the river as well. That was one that I knew they were looking.
Yep.
To try to.
They were, so the early ones were gonna be the fire station roof is top priority. Then the next ones, which are just, easy to cross off the list, is the lights across the river and potentially the sewage line. That's almost to where Nate can start writing easements with the property owners, where they had to design the line, figure out where it's gonna go, so they can do the right easements there. So it's all moving forward, because we gotta do the sewage line before we do the parking. So there's a little timing thing. Mayor's report. So I received a resignation letter from Christina Van Wagenen on the planning board. She had other commitments with school and work and whatnot. So she has resigned her seat. So I reviewed the people that we had apply last time and contacted to see who's interested in joining the planning board. So I'd like to appoint John Ciccarelli to the planning board. That's done.
I'd like to ask for an executive session for personnel.
Is it related to that?
Yeah, I believe it is.
I don't know if that's a valid topic. Nate, is that a valid topic?
Well, the valid reasons for an executive session relate to many things, one of which includes promotion, demotion, suspension, hiring, and many other words relating to the status of a person with the village of Owego.
So is a person appointed to a board, not as an employee?
Correct. So that would be the, well, I guess I'd leave it to Laura to fill in the blanks about the appointment, suspension, demotion, discipline of an appointed individual for the village of Owego.
Yes, I would still like to have the executive session for this.
What do you want the reason to be, Laura?
It can be a bit broader. There doesn't need to be exactly so specific. So the reason for an executive session is to preserve the confidentiality of it. And I think if what Laura is looking to do relates to appointed persons, it can be the appointment, the removal, the discipline, suspension of an appointed person for the Village of Owego.
Okay, that's fine with me. Do we have a second for Laura's executive session motion?
I'll second it.
So we'll vote on that. Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Laura? Ed?
Yes.
And yes for me. Other than that, I don't have any report. And we'll do that executive session after public comment. Public comment. Do we have anything?
One more question, just in case we might cover it under executive session. If we should talk about the police contract?
No, that's not tonight. We do need you to come sign the MOA though.
Laura?
Yeah,
Laura, are you home?
yeah.
Would it be appropriate for me to come over as soon as this meeting's over to give you some documents and have you sign the, is it the contract?
Well, it's the.
Is that what she's talking about?
Yeah.
The PBA contract thing?
Sure.
All right, I'll come over.
So then, as long as our negotiating team and their negotiating team agree that the document we're looking at is everything we agreed at, it would be on our next agenda on the 16th.
Okay.
Public comment?
So I have a question. Do we have shared services with the town of Owego as far as equipment for the highways, such as skid steer and trucks and paving equipment, that sort of thing?
It depends. We don't have any formal agreement, but a lot of times we work together.
Because I heard conflicting information. Somebody told me we had the equipment, and then the deputy highway guy over at the town told me we don't have shared equipment. So they need to buy all the equipment, so they're in the process of buying an $80,000 skid steer. So.
At the town?
Buying what?
$80,000 skid steer.
We sell a bunch of stuff.
And they bought a whole bunch of stuff.
I know they were selling stuff too.
I don't know.
Well, they sold some things.
Rusty, do you know anything?
Well, I don't know about that. We do have an occasional, make an occasional handshake deal, and we also make some legal deals. We are, I believe, in a legal deal about a street sweeper from them. So that's a shared service thing that we are purchasing with them and using with them. So we do have an occasional deal, but not very many, and probably not the one you're thinking of.
And we do help each other out if something comes up. You know, they have something where we have something.
You worked last week on the deck.
Yes. But here we go again, we can't use their equipment and they can't use our equipment. An operator has to go with the equipment if they use it. That makes sense to you?
Okay.
Because of the new insurance.
Right.
So I guess what I'm asking is, what are you getting at? Do you need something? Or?
Need something. Well, I would like my taxes to go down.
Yeah.
Probably everyone else would too. But, because they have a budget, okay, it's in the budget. So, well, we might as well spend the money. It's the same sort of thing where you're talking about, well, we have this money, we have to spend it, because it's allocated or whatever. But it seems to me that we could reduce and do a little more sharing instead of, I don't know when the last time taxes have gone down, but it would be nice to have them go down instead of, well, we have this budget, let's just spend all this money.
Well, unfortunately, the village is not as rich as the town is.
Yeah.
We pinch every penny.
That's very true.
Every penny.
Rusty?
There are many places in governments where they have a bunch of money, and if they don't spend it, they don't get it next time. We are not that. We don't ever do that. We don't ever have to spend money. We're begging for money and scrimping every second everywhere. So there's not any money. Oh, it's in the budget, we got to spend it. Oh, no. If it's in the budget, we didn't have to spend it. We'll take it out of there and use it somewhere else.
So anyway.
I think is $80,000 considered, is that a reasonable amount of money?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't need that.
We ain't buying one.
It's like a Bobcat.
It's like,
There ain't no brand new one, I'll tell you that. But the equipment nowadays is astronomical, everything is expensive.
But yeah, they're probably on track, I would say.
So that's when you are authorized to go to the town meetings as well. I don't know if you've been to them, but you.
Oh,
pay
I've been
taxes
going
and
to
stuff.
those for a long time.
Okay.
I just started coming to this one. And I will have to tell you that, maybe I shouldn't say it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. This meeting is miles above, the town meeting. The way you guys run this meeting is top notch.
Because we're pretty much volunteers.
We're trying to have fun while we're at it too.
We changed that 5 years ago, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Pay us 5 cents an hour.
We are very serious about the serious business, but we can still make some jokes and fun around, but not about the serious stuff.
Yeah.
That is serious and we take that serious.
So anyway, I'm with us.
Thank you.
Mikey?
I actually have something. You can blame Ron, because he's the one that mentioned
Okay.
code enforcement.
You're welcome.
They gotta do something about 100 Page Street,
I think they're working that one.
with all the busted out windows.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned
I
that.
think, isn't it?
Last time.
Is that one we're tearing down?
I don't say that, that's not a trade on one.
No. It's
What's your number, Mike?
one of our friends.
My phone number
No,
is
what's your house number?
67.
So where's 100?
100 is down towards Fox.
Right side.
Yeah.
Can't miss it.
Yeah, you can't miss all the broken
Piece of
windows.
junk.
Yeah.
I guess what happened, he'd gotten a hold of me about finding a tenant. I found him a tenant. And they were willing to put the heater in and everything, and I guess he went in, got the heater in, called NICEAG to turn the electric on, and NICEAG told him the wiring was shot, he had to replace it, he lost it, busted out all the windows.
This has happened last week.
trash is on property.
It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I heard
recent.
about it.
Like
I know what you're talking about now.
There's one on my street without windows and half the
Yes,
foundation.
he owns that one
The
too.
same owner.
Put the boards across it. Yeah.
As long as there's no
Young
derogatory things painted on the
Yeah.
building.
Young kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
You know, it's interesting, they did just pass a bunch of new bail reform things that are allowing them to not give bail for certain offenses anymore.
I saw that.
Well, he went ballistic though. and
They did that in the new,
broke
in the
Yeah,
in the
he
new
busted
budget,
windows
but
out of
not
his
very
place on
many
Spencer
things.
Avenue too.
The repeat offenders, thievery, things like that.
So I think code is aware of that.
Yeah.
Has been working that issue.
And that couch is still sitting out there.
Oh, yes, there's a couch that I drive past every day.
And I've already had Mick give them, they have to have a written complaint
Correct.
first. And this was a couple weeks ago, so I'm
Okay.
still waiting to hear about that, because I reported it to Mick.
Okay.
I can't by law just pick it up and get
Yeah,
rid of
then
it.
then the next step is that we do that and then bill them.
Right, I understand that,
Oh,
but
yeah,
I was
we have
told
to
that
send them
we-
a letter. or something.
Yeah, and all this other stuff. If it was me, I would just pick it up and charge them.
Yeah.
What's the chances they left the key in the giant backhoe over there on Liberty Street?
He did that before with Jeff. He left a bunch of stuff out there and
Yeah,
he
we have to
wanted
pick it
the
up.
village to pick it up and bill
Well, he should be calling the village and telling them that he's leaving it out there to pick it up.
That would be
Bill.
nice before it gets sold to.
Well, yeah.
And then it's gonna be even more money.
As a general thing, I mean, if you want to do that, call us, we'll do it.
Exactly. He's gotta call us and tell us that, now I gotta go back to steps.
You know, you got a family of raccoons living under the cushions.
At least it's only been there a couple
We've been there,
months
yeah.
Couple of storms.
versus,
It's been there a while.
versus that one that was on Fox Street that you got that was there like a year.
Yeah.
It's a rental.
I do my
Tenants
travel
move
every
out.
day and I ask Mick, okay, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. And I can only go by what our laws say that we have to do.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do.
Some
All right.
bails.
Move to adjourn.
Check some bails.
Well, we gotta do the.
Oh, move to not adjourn, move to go to executive session.
We'll go to executive
We're
session,
going
so I'm gonna, it is 9:06.
Is that all?
We gotta figure out how we gotta do this, so I guess we got too many people, because we got Laura and Ed and Nate. Normally it's just Nate that can call. Hey Nate, maybe we can do that weird conference call thing, like, can you call Laura and I'll call Ed?
I'm not sure if I have Laura's number.
I do. You want it, Nate? Can you hear me? Nate?
Well, I mean, I'm only gonna let Laura tell me her number.
Okay.
Well-
555.
Maybe she don't.
Is it the 1-800?
Only one's online. So if we stop recording,
You start recording?
could we then,
You start recording? Mike?
I guess
Laura, that's a good point. If Mike, I think you have control over who can join the meeting, correct?
Yeah, so I can stop recording and lock it.
I think I do.
Right.
Yeah, why don't we do
Then
that?
Then we throw everybody out.
That should work.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we're getting Rodney back. We can end the meeting.
It's coming.
It's not showing any rain as of now. That might change by midnight.
Too bad I've been working all day.
We're introducing new solar bubbles.
That sounds interesting.
Flavoring up Mountain Dews and stuff.
Oh, with the ball?
We can with the, I'm also putting syrups in like a raspberry.
Let's do it.
Blue or something.
Back in session, what time?
Back in session, 9:39. All right, so I'd like to rescind any sort of statement I made about appointing John Ciccarelli to the planning board. There needs to be further consideration there.
I mean, you want me to put in there, like up here he was in and down here he's out, or?
No.
This, it did never happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't put in the minutes, but it'll be on the recording.
Okay. So it didn't happen in, so it won't show up that you, okay.
Right, I take back anything I said, might have said.
You never said I would like to, you didn't say you did.
I don't know what my exact words were.
It was unclear whether it was done and it's rescinded.
Oh, so. Actually, that was a fair point, John. Ciccarelli to the planning board.
Yes, we crossed that out.
I'm just, that never happened.
We done?
We're done.
Move to adjourn.
Have a good night, everybody.
I'm gonna put down no action taken because nothing ever happened to have any action to be taken.
Okay,
Right.
that's fine.